Hello and welcome to Bears TV. Today's guests include Tony Lanciano. Tony joined the club in 2014 as the reserves coach. In 2015, Tony coached the Under-10s Division 8 to a premiership. Tony has been a development coach with the club for a number of years, and in 2020, Tony will be coaching the Under-14s Orange team. We also have with us Corey Patmore. Corey joined the club in 2017 and quickly cemented himself as a natural leader. Corey was the senior captain in 2019. He is a huge supporter of the junior program, and in 2019 he was the assistant coach with the under-19s. Last but not least, we also have with us the Burnside Heights Football Club president, Justin Pegram. And before I talk to the boys, I'd also like to thank 25 Frames for recording today's show, and to all our sponsors out there who have been a great support to the club in this difficult time. So we'll first get to Tony. Tony, as the under-14s coach, have you been in constant communication with the players and parents? If so, can you explain to the viewers what the discussions have been about?
Yeah, my word. Just like any adults, kids feel this as well. You know, they've been locked up just like a lot of people, and so it's affected everyone. So I've tried as much as I can to ring parents and just to check on the kids to make sure they're all right, and try and get some training wherever they can to be outdoor instead of being locked up inside and getting that cabin fever. And I think it's definitely helped. So I've tried to communicate as much as I can. I contacted Amanda Stevenson also to put some fitness videos up on our Facebook page as well, so to give the parents some ideas and also the kids, just to get them active. And I think, yeah, they definitely need it. It's been tough for everyone. So I think that's sort of helped, having those videos up there and just keeping information as much as we can. And yeah, looking forward to the season starting again.
Yep. And with the restrictions being put into place on local sport, what plans have you been putting into place for training when it does commence?
Yeah, I always have my plans pretty much straight away, and especially with the restrictions that we've been told. I knew that there will be small groups, so I've based the drills on skill but with fitness as well, and combine both. You need both. You can't just do skill, you need to have some fitness in that, because I've always found that once fatigue kicks in, skill level starts to drop. So if we can combine the two together, we're definitely going to benefit from that. And Michael and I, we've spoken about it sometimes last quarters, the team that's the fittest, their skill level stays up, and they're the ones that win the game or come back from behind or stay in front. So it's very important. I always like to make sure that all my things are game related. It's not just a drill that just it looks good but it's got no basis on what the game plan we want. So with the small groups, I'm going to have an individual coach for each group. Oh shit, no good.
So I suppose I just want to ask, how are the players keeping active? Have you been in contact? Like, what have they been doing?
Well, you hope that's always a hard thing because they're not in front of me, so I don't know. And I hope they're honest and they have been doing something. I mean, we'll surely be able to see that when they come to training.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yep. And also, like, just with yourself, obviously, we've all been sitting in isolation, and we're all what have you been doing?
Well, I've actually gone back to my normal level, I should say. I bought a bike, so I started riding, and my son's got a personal training studio, so I've been going in there and started training again. So, yeah, I feel fantastic. Just frustrated, but fantastic in that part. Because, as you know, we love football, and I really missed it.
Yeah, no problems. That's great. And just one last thing, I suppose, we're getting. We've missed the first part of the season and all that. Obviously, the warmer months. The cold weather's coming. Yes. You're looking forward to that?
Not really. I love summer and all that. So, but and again, with this virus, it's going to be a testing time for us in that.
I suppose we're just all looking forward to watching a game of football.
I think so. I don't think anyone's going to care about the weather. I think they're just going to, the thrill of football.
What about the big fella, Cavalli? I mean, he was primed and ready for a massive season. There's 2 practice matches. He was on fire. Have you heard much from what he's doing and all that?
So I've seen a couple of videos from Peter Lechner. So he's been training with Cavalli. But yeah, exactly. Seeing him at the start of the season, wanting to really go to that next level, because everyone only knew him as that bear in the square kind of forward, and now seeing him on those 20 to 50 metre runs, on those sprints, he's going to be dangerous. He's going to be so scary this year when we actually get up and running. By looking at him, he doesn't look like he's lost anything. He's still got that spark that he wants to progress.
Yeah, fantastic. And I suppose, like, your partner Jodie plays in the senior women's team. Can you give some insight of what the senior women's have been doing in regards to keeping active and communication and all that sort of thing?
To be honest, I try and keep out as much as possible with the women's stuff, because I know that that's Jodie's side of the club. We kind of keep each other as separate as possible, but they have been talking. She has been doing individual training sessions with some of the girls at the club. Just last Saturday, she came down and did a gym session, a training session here at the club. And it was actually good to see some of the girls enthusiastic and pretty much wanting and willing this footy season to begin.
And I suppose, just for Corey and Tony, what are you missing the most about footy?
I'm missing the boys. I'm missing having that camaraderie, knowing that we train all week and then on the weekend we go to battle together. Like that's what I'm missing. I'm missing having all us around each other.
Tony, what?
Yeah, same thing. Just the friendship that you've made over the years, and just the boys, seeing them progress, and just the smile. I think just everyone's seeing each other, being around each other, just like seeing friends. So it's fantastic. Yeah,
and just finally, Tony, from you, how's the old fellow going, Dougie Richards? Is he coping well with being in isolation?
Yeah, well, he was a little bit scared at first. I actually rang. I said, "You're of anyone, don't leave home, yeah." Because you're at that age group, and I meant it in a fun way, but I also meant it in a serious way. I said maybe if the club did start at that time when it was peaking, he needed to stay away, and I know how hard that is for him, because he just loves it. He just loves the club.
Bubble wrap for him.
Yeah, I think so, and some noodles, noodles on his head, and that. So I was actually. I'm afraid in two ways. One, obviously, because I know how much he loves football, and two, in a serious way, because of health as well. So yeah, but he's doing all right. He's doing well.
That's good. That's good. Justin, so a couple of weeks ago we spoke about COVID-19 and how it's affected local footy. Since that time, things have changed considerably, obviously, with the state government easing some restrictions and all that. What is the outlook for season 2020?
Yeah, I think it's moving closer, which is good. Presidents had a meeting last week, and obviously that started to set the shape of season 2020, which is good. State government have eased restrictions, and AFL Victoria have come out with some protocols for us. So from that end, that's really good. We've now got something we can sort of work towards. Obviously, training can get back. We're just waiting for obviously approval from council, and then we can get back on the ground, which will be fantastic. From a season point of view, the league have indicated it'll probably be a start date now, late July, moving through September. So at least there's some action happening. So it's pretty exciting.
Okay, well, that was my next question. Just wanting to know when the season will commence, and obviously now you're saying July. Do you know how long, how many rounds it'll be?
Yeah, they're looking to do a half season. So both with juniors, men, and the women, it'll be everyone will play each other once and then go into a final series. So all that's to be decided. I know AFL Victoria and Cricket Victoria are sort of working on whether they can sort of swap some weeks to help with that, but that'll take place, I'd dare say, over the next sort of couple of weeks. I think the AFL and the league are due to meet early June, and that will probably start to give us a better indication as to, or I suppose guarantee that the season's going ahead and when it will start.
So obviously with a shorter season, getting off to a good start is going to be key. And I suppose the other thing is injuries. Injuries are going to play a massive part in obviously winning the flag, because you're going to have a shorter time to recover. Do you agree with that?
100%. I mean, these guys will know more than me, but we're looking at, to start with, obviously non-contact training, which is going to be difficult. And I think all the clubs have gone to the league and AFL Victoria saying that they need to probably give us at least a 3-4 week window where we can do contact training to condition bodies, because if that doesn't happen, I'm sure these guys also know more than me, but we don't want injuries. So if we can reduce that, it'll be better.
And how have coaches been engaging with their teams? Have you been?
Yeah, look, from what I can see, because we've got, there's all individual Facebook pages and that sort of stuff. All our coaches have been quite active on that, getting in contact with their groups, which is fantastic. We had a coaches meeting this week, and all the coaches are, I think they're itching at the bit to sort of get out and do some training. So I think it's look, all things are looking pretty good. And from the, I walk down the street and I see some kids, and the first thing they're asking me is when we can train. So I think the kids are really looking forward to it. I know I've sort of been in contact with the senior group, both men and women, and they're all really looking forward to training too. So I think it's really positive.
I think, for yourself and everyone else, following the rules and regulations is going to be key, because obviously, you don't want to, go outside of the contact and coaches. How do you keep the coaches in check to make sure that they're following all the rules out of training? Like I saw the list of from the AFL Victoria about strictly no contact, social distancing. How as a club, how are you going to enforce that?
Well, we've given the coaches a checklist, and some of those things are obviously they're non-negotiable. So we're going to have obviously committee people there. We've also said to the coaches that before they can start training, they've got to obviously have a plan to us, and that will include having their own person within the team that's, I suppose, going to be help. I suppose the committee. Make sure the coaches and the players are responsible. So there's not going to be much tolerance. If a team's doing the wrong thing, unfortunately, they just won't be able to train. We want everyone to do the right thing. It's frustrating, but that's just the way it's going to be. So spread out the training. Players need to come dressed, ready for training. Obviously the hygiene, washing the hands. We'll have the hand sanitizer here. And initially, it's literally going to be, get in, train, get out. Really easy. The coaches understand that, and I think we're all responsible, and they're responsible. So we'll sort of oversee it, but I'm pretty confident our guys will do the right thing.
The virus obviously is going to change the way we all live. How do you think footy will look like post COVID-19? Not just in the next 6 months, but the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. What's it going to be? What do you think it's going to look like? How are we?
The footy, I don't think the footy will change. I think once we're allowed to have the competitions and the players cross the white line, the umpire blows the whistle and throws the ball up, I don't think that side of it's going to change. I think it'll probably be more the crowds. We won't have everyone bunched in together. So our Bear Cave on senior game, they're going to have to spread out. And obviously, whether it's, I suppose probably more junior games will be sort of affected. We won't have those large gatherings in the change rooms and things like that, but that'll just be an education process. And I think a lot of people with what's going on, they'll be cautious regardless. So I think there'll be certain aspects that will be different. I know from our club point of view, obviously this year, and we don't know what's going to happen next year, but we're no longer going to be able to stack this room where we are today, full of people to have meals. There'll be limits on that type of stuff. So.
Yeah, I was just going to mention also that with functions. Especially this year, what happens with you got presentations, senior presentations, junior presentations. What's going to happen there? Do they go ahead? Do we not have them? Do we have presentations via Zoom and that sort of thing?
I certainly hope not. Having had a few meetings the last couple of weeks, I don't want to do presentations via Zoom. We've spoken to Gamekeepers, one of our head sponsors, and they've obviously looked ahead as to what the government said in regards to lifting restrictions, and I think they're saying by mid-July, maybe up to 100 people. So they've suggested to us that by the time we're looking to do presentations later in the year, we should be able to do something. Yes, there'll be limits on numbers, and they'll have a quota as to how many people can be in the restaurant, but I'd hope that we can sort of get back to having some sort of presentation. And when you think about it, generally you've got families that are going to be at a table. So that's not really an issue. It's more basically just making sure there's that spread away from there. And look, so I think people will be cautious. They'll obviously take precautions, but I would hope that we're not going to lose that little part. Just being able to do this, chat here today as opposed to over Zooms, that's something we haven't been able to do, and it's been really good. I feel like Andre the Giant next to Little Beaver here, but it's been really good to be able to see the guys.
Well, saying that, I haven't seen you guys for a long time. We spoke. We had the interview obviously via video and all that sort of stuff. But seeing people is great. Obviously the easing of restrictions has made it easier for everyone to get together. But the other thing is sponsors. Obviously business is tough at the moment, and sponsors are critical to any sporting club. the communication with sponsors at the moment? How's that going?
Yeah, no, well, we've been in contact with all our sponsors. Obviously, this is probably a time where we're probably going to have to give them probably a little bit more support than we're normally expecting from them, because you're right, their business has had a bit of a downturn. But from our end, I mean, our priority is to make sure, okay, let's see where we can help with these sponsors. A lot of them will be getting back into work, so if we can help promote them, and obviously with ones like, your Gamekeepers, Slicers, Westwaters, that type of thing, if we can obviously encourage our members to sort of go there when those places start to open, that will definitely help. But with all our sponsors, they've been fantastic. I mean, the response we've had has been really good. Some of our major ones, Civi Fleet and Telstra, they've sort of said we're here to look after the club and support the club. So it's been really good communication across all the sponsors, and we've actually got probably a couple which will be announced in the next sort of coming weeks. So there'll be a couple of new ones which will be really exciting as well. So it's a two-way street, and this year, I mean, the Bears are probably just going to have to do that a little bit more to help those guys out. But we're looking for a long-term relationship, not a short-term relationship.
Fantastic. Okay, so I suppose it's just a waiting game now on what you mentioned. We mentioned off camera about that you haven't heard from council or what's happening, because training was meant to commence May 25th. You're not sure if that's going to happen yet?
No, we'll find out over the coming days. Obviously, we've spoken to the coaches, spoken to the players. You guys are ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready?
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Everyone's ready. So I suppose once we get that tick, we've got the protocols now. The committee met the other day. We're confident that we can put those things in place. And I know there's been some talk, it's extra work for the volunteers, but I think it's a case of, Corey's probably heard from Aidan, and I'm sure Tony sort of mentioned it before. You get that three-quarter time huddle where everything's going against you. You're against the wind, you're behind, it might be a rainy day, and the coach is basically saying if there's a will, there's a way. You've got to go the extra mile. Well, as a committee and as a club, and we're going to be asking our parents and volunteers, let's all get behind it, do what we can to basically get a season. Yes, there's going to be some things we're going to need to tick off, but if we all get in together, those things can happen, and it's not going to be an issue.
So when does Phil DeBono get appointed as COVID-19 officer?
He's already happened. He's already locked in. He's one off, but this is where the
did you see that? I guess that. Hey?
No, well, obviously for the seniors he has, but from the committee point of view, we're asking all of our committee to undertake the course. I did mine the other day. It's not that hard, which is good. And that way we'll have plenty of people on board. So it doesn't matter what day of the week we've got to train, there'll be someone here.
A little point that I put down just for
Thanks,
parents.
Tony. Yeah, that's all right. That's fine. Yep.
Whether should my kid be playing sport or football? So I just jotted down something like this. I wrote, playing sports helps students relax, reduce their anxiety. But besides just being fun, sports can help them perform better in school, relax more, worry less, deal with setbacks, work better with others, and increase their energy, and all of which helps balance school and everything else that's going on in their life. So it's not just about football, but it's what it can do for their child as well. We always talk about anxiety with adults and that, but it affects kids as well. And being locked up for so long, and we were talking about just getting together. I'm smiling already thinking about seeing the boys seeing each other, and the girls as well. The big smile. I mean, they haven't been even at school, and I even asked Orlando. I said, "What's the thing?" And he goes, "Just missing my friends." It's tough, yeah? It's been really tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And look, you're right there. It's the mental health issues are a major factor in all of this. Missing, obviously, just like you guys, I miss Saturdays watching footy, and my son obviously plays, in the seniors here, and I asked him
Would have been his first year.
Well, it was in his first year seniors, and he had two great first practice matches, and then I asked him, how you going with it? Are you missing it? And he said, badly. He just can't wait to get back running out there and having a kick. He was actually out having a kick a few days ago. So, yeah, you're right. It's really important that we
very much so.
We get back out there. But obviously, we've got to kill the virus, and get rid of it.
And I think we've done an amazing job. We're very lucky that we're an island, and we've stopped all the borders and people coming from overseas. I mean, once we did that, and Ruby Princess was a big factor. If we didn't have that, our government's done an amazing job, and the people as well, keeping their social distancing. And I think that's the other thing. As coaches, we're role models too, yeah, and we can teach everyone else this is how you got to do it.
Corey, with the senior team, I mean, you've been in constant communication with them all and all that. What's their aims and goals for once the season starts and gets going? What's their number one goal?
I think the aim and the the goal is still the same. It was the same last year. It's going to be the same this year. It's going to be to win the premiership. At the moment, we don't really know what's going on with promotion and relegation. But at the end of the day, we're still here to play the game of football. We're here to win. We're here to win a premiership. So whether we get promoted or at all, at the end of the day, we're going to win a cup. That's the goal for us, and it's across the board.
And I suppose, I mean, obviously, probably like every other team out there, everyone's fresh. Everyone's probably, I don't know if anyone's got any injuries, like they've fallen over at home or something like that, or tripped over their front step. But I'm guessing everyone's fresh and raring to go. And are you getting that vibe from?
Yeah, we are. But we have actually had one injury over the.
We have we? Okay. Who's
we
that?
are. Matt Busuttil decided to go for a ride on a horse and decided to fall off on it. So he's got a bit of a fracture in his arm, but he should be back for round one. But yeah, it was a bit of a giggle and a laugh when he decided to do his video for us for his fitness test for us, and to see him with a fractured arm was quite funny.
Did the president know about this?
Yes, no, I was aware of that. So
No surprise there.
I did see that.
And I suppose the coach, Aidan. I mean, he's one to like. He's raring to go, I'm guessing, and can't wait to get out there. How's he going?
He's going quite well. He puts it more back on us leaders, to us to motivate the team, because we are pretty much with those guys the whole entire time. But I've been in chats with Stoddy, just to see how everything's going as well. He sent actually every player out a message just to see how everyone's going at the same time and see if we're doing any extra training or anything like that. But it's just good to actually hear from someone like him, even though he's quite a quiet man. He still likes to make sure that the care for us players are more than anything.
If there was any deficiency in any of the positions on the ground, have we recruited to mend that?
So Slot and I had a conversation over the weekend about players and our list and everything. Slot put a list together and positions for all the team. And looking at it, we are strong. I don't think there's a position that we're missing at the moment. There's been some rumblings that we're missing some key players in positions, but with what we've recruited over the off season, I think a lot of teams are going to be very worried with what we've got. We're still one of the fitter teams in the comp as well. So
yeah, well, and the thing is too, you've actually got a new recruit who got his holiday cut short, MPL. Yeah, he'd be like he's going to be a handy addition, like because you probably there was a period there where we thought, he won't be back until round 4. Yeah, well, he'll be here for round 1.
Aidan's recruited really well, and the new guys, that even though they haven't been able to really even sort of get stuck into training, they're pretty excited by it. To be honest, both with the senior men's and the senior women's, the senior women's have, we've Senna Mason, who played in their first year, was off with Carlton last year. She's back, and there's 2 or 3 others that have played footy at Northern Football League that are joining us. The women have recruited really well, and they're going to be a strong team too. So last year we made finals, literally limping into the finals with numerous injuries. This year, the girls are fighting fit as well. So I think both our senior teams have got a really good shot at finals and pushing themselves as far as they can, which will be very exciting.
And just going on that as well, it's not just going to be our seniors at the same time. I think this is going to be the first year that our reserves are going to be extremely strong, because there's actually going to be guys fighting in the reserves to play a senior game, because we have got a massive list that can play senior football. So I think it's a credit to Aidan for recruiting, but it's also going to be a big job for Chris and Jace to keep those guys in the reserves fully motivated, knowing that there is a chance, there is an opportunity to play senior football at this club.
Even Damien DeBono had a great game, and Jack Wiley ended up backing up with the seniors afterwards. Those young guys, but then you got Chris Sarandis, and then you got a few of those guys who were
the bloke who's got the longest suspension in the league.
Yeah, who were going. Yes, he has. Yes, I forgot about that. He did. Yes, he has got the longest suspension. But those guys played really well, and then obviously the senior game afterwards, Cavalli was on fire and all those things. So the depth is hopefully finally there. Do you agree with that?
I do definitely agree, and just to watch some of the kids that are coming through as well, like even coaching some of them last year in the 19s, just to see those come through. Our football's looking very bright at this club, extremely bright with the kids that are coming through, even the ones that are in our under 15s, under 16s. I can definitely say when my time's done, when I finish up, when I hand the club over to the kids, we're in good hands.
And
Definitely.
the women, obviously the girls, the under 18s, and that's what. How were they travelling?
Yeah, under 18s, they're keen as mustard. They were a small group, but they were certainly passionate about sort of coming to training, and I think they've been in contact with each other. So Michael, the coach, has been definitely sort of pushing the girls to keep active. Similar with Coach Chris with the under 15 girls, they're raring to go, and Izzy, who's one of our senior women, she coaches the under 13 girls, and those girls are hanging to get on the park. And I think that's what Corey sort of mentioned with the juniors sort of coming through, both boys and girls. It's going to be pretty exciting times over the next 5 to 6 years here at the club, which will be great.
It's exciting to hear what you're saying about the seniors and that. I mean, we've all been involved at the start when we first put seniors on, and players just knew they were going to get a game anyway, where now they're going to be under pressure because guess what? There's some reserves there that want to take your spot. So if you don't perform...
And with the break, due to obviously the virus, there's going to be spots up for grabs, big time.
Words.
Like if you're underdone, because it doesn't take long to lose, by sitting at home, waiting for restrictions to ease and waiting.
The players that have been keeping themselves fit have got a massive year in front of them, so that they're going to have a huge advantage over everyone else, and that'll be really good to see. So, and I think that's the seniors, but they'll come through to the juniors. I mean, at juniors, you look at we've got most of our teams in Division 1 or Division 2, so those kids they've got a really bright future, and the ones who are trying to sort of push into the pathway programs, if they've been looking after themselves, they're going to have a massive advantage this year.
Yeah, I'm excited, just like you said, with the juniors, under 14s and 16s, seeing some of those top-end players that are going to be future homegrown footballers playing senior football at this club. So it's an exciting time at the Bears.
Just one more thing as well, guys. The last thing I pretty much want to bring up is I know player payments is a big thing at the moment, where you get a lot of articles coming out. Is this the death of high-end paid players? I just want to say on my behalf, myself, I'm going to actually relinquish my payments for this year to the club. So I want to see this club benefit and be able to survive a lot longer. And I know that we're in ourselves that Justin's got us in a real good position on the field, off the field, that I think it's a great sacrifice that I can do to make sure this club keeps going on.
That's fantastic, Corey. And I know we've been speaking to the senior group, keeping them in contact with everything sort of going on, because obviously the club will suffer a bit of a financial hit. To their credit, what Corey's said now is fantastic, but all the boys have basically agreed that, okay, well, they understand there's going to be a pay cut, and numerous have actually said if it got to that point, they would be paying for free, which is, I think that's a credit particularly to the players that we've got in our group, because we've spoken about the homegrowns. We don't really have the homegrowns. We've got a couple coming through, as you know. So the fact that we've had players come in from other groups and they're willing to, sacrifice for the good of our football club, I think that speaks volumes for them as a group, and Aidan with the culture that he sort of brought into our seniors.
I'd just like to say that I'm not relinquishing my fee for hosting.
Rob's going to be our most expensive person this year.
So I'm actually asking for a pay rise on that. So no, I'm only joking. But that's
and he'll cook a nice barbecue back for you.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up. I'd like to talk about Ernie. Actually, Ernie, is he all primed and ready for?
He's having withdrawal symptoms, Ernie. So he keeps asking me when we can do meals, when we can do takeaways. We can't. Ernie's ready to get behind that grill. He's very, very anxious. He's been mixing a lot of meat at home. Nelson wants it out of the freezer. So
I can tell you Thursday night, the first meal.
I dare say we'll have this is where the restrictions are going to be here. We're going to have a lot of people wanting something to eat, and we might have quite a big queue when you consider everyone's going to be 1.5 apart.
Yes, and I suppose the other things, obviously, like jumper presentations, and is that gonna happen, or are we just gonna?
We would love to. It's probably going to be very difficult. I think what we'll try to do, initially, just obviously get everyone their jumpers so they know what number they've got, and it probably sort of gives them that little bit of spark. I've got my jumper, I'm ready to play. So I think the priority will be getting the kids back to training. We'll get them their jumpers so they, it sort of gives them that little glimmer of hope that, yep, something's happening. I'm going to be wearing that this year because, as we know, the juniors are changing over to the one jumper this year, which will be pretty exciting. If it allows that we can do some sort of presentation. Of course, we want to do that. We've always done that with juniors, but that may not happen, unfortunately. But we'll do our best, that's for sure.
We can potentially do it even at training.
That's what we're looking at. We'll get them to the coaches, and they can do something small to at least get
still
a kick.
nice.
And I'm more than welcome to jump on board with that as well, if it's anything from the senior side, because it's a joint ship now. We're together. We're one.
Yeah.
But we do know the real reason is that's an extra event for Rob. So
Well,
He misses out.
When does he not want to be around the club?
I could do it by Zoom if you want. You start yelling out names and all that sort of thing.
He's had more comebacks than Johnny Farnham.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Look, that's good about, in regards to payer payments and all that, sort of relinquishing that and all that sort of thing, because at the end of the day, football, I mean, these are not-for-profit organisations. It's about surviving, and everyone needs this, yeah? I must admit, this period of isolation, we've missed a lot of things, yeah? You're sitting there, and I've run into, people. I ran into Jimmy Douglas in the shopping centre, Highgate. Jimmy Douglas on Facebook, Jimmy Highgate. I ran into him on... and he's keen. He's keen to get out there, and he says everyone's missing, playing football and all that sort of stuff. And
because I see Declan as well.
Yeah.
And I went to school with his mum.
Yep.
We just found out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're
and
that
I found
old.
A picture of her and I at a Holy Communion.
Shouldn't
Holy
say
Communion
that.
together. A photo together, and we happened to just be next to each other. Yeah.
Well, I'm not missing Jimmy and Jace abuse everyone, but in Bear Cave, and
We still hear it. Don't worry.
it's quite funny. But I'm not missing that. But they'll get back to that soon. And I suppose the other one is Chris Fillier has not coached. He's coached 2 practice matches, but he's undefeated, is he? Or
he hasn't lost a game yet, an official game yet.
So Chris Fillier hasn't lost a game, so he's doing really well. But it's great. So
definitely take this opportunity just to thank the senior boys too, yeah, because they often come during the pre-season. They were coming to our training sessions, and the boys just love it. I'm sure the boys and girls will love seeing the senior boys when we're able to come down and just when they can and just be involved in that. The kids just look up to them, and hopefully they come and watch you guys play on the Saturday as well, so that builds that up. But just having you guys around is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Definitely, that's something that I want to continue at this club. I want to make sure that all us senior guys are getting around to all the juniors, because, like I said before, they're the next guys in line. They're going to be the next part of the club, and that's where us guys are going to come in down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever our training is going to be scheduled for us, for you guys, is to make sure that we're involved. And that's not just during training, that's also game day as well, come down and support you guys. Because we know on a Saturday, we see the kids running around, kicking the footy. Some of the kids don't think that the AFL football stars are that big, but when they come down on a Saturday afternoon, they see a Josh Cavalli or an Anthony Forkas kicking a footy, playing on the weekend. They think they're more superstars than the AFL footballers, because they're more homegrown. They can actually get to know them a lot better.
Fantastic. I would ask you to hug right now, but obviously with social distancing you can't.
do the
It was getting fairly emotional there between the two of you. And
You got any hand sanitizer?
keep away from each other, all right? So look, hopefully soon. The sun's come out now while we're having this interview. So hopefully soon
Going for a kick.
we can get out. Yeah, well, we won't be going for a kick. The ground's probably flooded. What are you talking about?
That's the best time at this ground, especially on this wing.
Yeah. Well, look on the bright side. At least the ground's looking.
Ground's never been in better nick, so we just want to get out there and watch the kids and the boys have a play, which will be fantastic. So fingers crossed, a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So look soon. Hopefully we're all out there freezing to death. I've got my toe warmers in the car ready to go for Saturday afternoon, so I'm not freezing to death. But we'll look hopefully soon. So I just want to obviously thank the 3 of you guys for coming today and having this discussion, because it's I think it's good for everyone to see what's happening and understanding, because people are sitting there waiting, what's going on. But I think it'll give them a bit of insight of what's happening and how close we are to getting back out onto that ground and having a kick and all that sort of thing. So I'd like to thank our panel today, Justin Pegram, Tony Lanciano and Corey Patmore for joining us today. Also like to thank 25 Frames for recording today's episode, and to all our sponsors for their great support in this difficult time. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the show.